we have this amazing car here today with us. Do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us what you're driving today?
My name is James, and it's a 96 Integra Type R DB8 sedan.
James, when did you end up picking up this car?
I think it was around 2 years ago, actually. I was screwing around. I was looking for a right-hand drive or an Integra Type R, honestly.
Yeah.
The US ones were just too expensive.
Right.
So I started looking at right-hand drives, couldn't find a good one, and then I started messing around on Bring a Trailer, of all places.
Yeah.
And that's where I found not this particular car, but another one.
Wow.
A four-door.
Yeah.
And at the end of day one, on the bidding of that, I threw a reasonable but fairly high bid for the time at the first one, and it came down to day 7, which was the last day of the auction, and I had to tell the wife 30 minutes prior to the auction ending that I may be winning a car off of a site that she had no clue was even on it.
Right.
And just a month prior, I'd bought a S2000.
Wow.
S2000.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I ended up winning it. I was taking my son to a doctor's appointment, and by the time he got out, he was the first one to find out, other than the wife, since I had just told her I may be winning it, that I won a car.
Yeah. Wow, so awesome, man. That's so cool. So this model is right-hand drive, meaning it was imported from Japan.
Yes.
At some point in time.
I didn't know a whole lot about the four-door sedans. I knew they were more rare. From what I recall, there was just over 5,000 of them total ever made, and the majority of them, if not all of them, were Japan only.
Sheesh.
So, yeah, they started making them in 95 in Japan, although I think the sedan was 96 was the first year they did that. When I saw it, being a family man, have 2 boys and I wasn't going to get away with the 3-door
right.
very easily. I decided to jump all over the 4-door.
What else kind of made you gravitate towards this specific chassis?
This particular one, I've always been a Honda fan. I had my first Civic in '97, which was a EK hatchback.
Nice.
And did a motor swap in that. I had a friend who owned a shop back in Florida. So I've always been a Honda guy.
We also know that you do have an EK hatch that you're building right now. You know, you're doing some work to it. You're gonna throw a K in there. Yeah, we'll definitely get into that in another video. So these wheels that you have on here, did you put them on or did you get the car like that?
Yes. No, okay. The car came actually 100% stock.
Right, as you said.
Had stock exhaust, stock. I still have all of the stock bits for it. But yeah, it took me about 4 or 5 months because of this being the 4x114. I had a tough time. I really wanted a set of bronze TE37. Every time I came across them, they were snapped up before I even found them. And I was following DB8 Motorsports on Instagram, and these popped up, and I said, gotta have them. I'm tired of having the stock wheels. I want a second set, so I picked these up. Yeah,
I mean, you know, the TE37s, they're a hard wheel to beat. They look really good on these cars, but you know, what you have on here right now with the Advans are just, you're crushing it. I love the color combo as well. And of course, you know, we got those Recaros. How does it feel riding around in these seats? Are they pretty comfortable? Or?
Yeah, comfortable, and they hold you in better than any other stock seat I've ever dealt with.
Right. Good to know. Good to know. In your time in building the car so far, what would you say was a very challenging thing for you?
Finding the wheels.
Finding the wheels.
Everything else about it was simple. The exhaust I put on it is actually for a 4-door GSR.
Wow.
And didn't take much mating up. It's a different size collector, but for the most part, that was easier than I thought it was going to be. But yeah, tracking down a set of wheels for these at all, it's difficult.
Yeah, I can only imagine, especially with that lug pattern too, you know.
Yes.
Do you mind giving us the specs on these wheels?
They're 4x114. I think it's a 16x7. And it has a 215 45 16.
Okay, let's talk about this front lip, this carbon fiber front lip. Where did you get this from? How did you even get your hands on this piece?
I saw quite a few, actually a number of 4-doors, I don't recall who, on Instagram, and I just fell in love, always wanted a bare carbon lip.
Right.
And I know that it's a spoon replica, and I believe it was Carbon Creations was who I got it from. But yeah, look for about a week or two trying to find a decent one, decent quality, and the spoon replica. So yeah, found it and had to have it.
It looks absolutely amazing on this car. It really sharpens the front end up, and that carbon fiber, it's hard to beat, you know? It really is. What would you say is your favorite piece about the car?
I'd say the seats.
The seats.
Those actually are not the original ones that came in this car.
Okay.
I was able to find a guy. When I got the second one, it had a Asian fit racing seat, so I wasn't able to fit in it very well. It was kind of tight and didn't have a full set of Recaros, and it had the passenger seat, but the driver's seat was long since gone. I started messing around in Facebook Marketplace and found a guy in Meade, of all places.
Right.
Only had to drive 5 miles and told him, hey, look, I'm looking for a set of these seats, and he had them higher than they should have been at the time. Showed him what they were going in, and he had no qualms with lowering his price to more reasonable.
For sure.
And I went and got them that day, so they were just sitting in his warehouse.
It makes sense that you got a replacement set. I would think with a car this old, we'd see a little bit more fading, you know, a bit more rubbing around the bolstering, but they look very clean.
I was pleasantly surprised at how clean they were.
A quick question, do you know if these taillights are interchangeable with the coupes, or are they different?
They are not. The sedan are specific to the sedan.
Okay.
They're compatible with the GSR that we got here in the US. The 4-door only, but the coupes are different.
I see. Okay, good to know. I really like the tail end on this thing. That wing is, man, it's so bold and strong. That's a Type R wing, right? Just stock Type R wing? Okay, gotcha. I'm learning more and more about some of the stock Type R parts that came on these cars originally. So, and what exhaust are you running?
It's a Apex World Sport. Hard to find these days. It was one of the last quiet exhausts. Being that I'm older now, I don't like the loud and raspy, and I've always liked that deep tone. But yeah, it was between this and I forget a Fujitsu.
Okay, very nice.
The only other option I had for the 4-door at the time, and I actually ordered that one, and it was going to be an 8-month wait, which I was fine with. And then I got impatient and found this one.
Right. Totally. Yeah, this thing it purrs pretty nicely. With the build and where it is now, do you have any future plans or anything for it?
Nothing big. Just restoring a number of items on it, some trim pieces, doing just the basic maintenance work. It's got 26, 27-year-old bushings in it. So yeah, just keeping it how it is at all times, being able to put it back to stock, because I love it. What
advice would you give to someone who is maybe just starting out trying to build a car, or even if it's not just Hondas, you know, cars in general, what advice would you give a beginner?
I'd say start simple. Work within your budget. I didn't do that when I was young.
Yeah.
I went a little crazy. My first car, I completely stripped it out, got rid of the interior, regretted it later, took out the AC, all of that. If I were to do it again, I would have kept all of those parts. But yeah, I started out pretty slow back in the day because it was all I had money for.
Right.
Move slow. Don't rush it.
Don't rush it. Otherwise, you might have to do it all over again.
Exactly.
Indeed.
Do your research.
Do your research, yes. Well, James, it's been a pleasure being able to, you know, interview you about this car, get a little bit more insight on your build, you know, where it came from and how far it's come. So thank you so much for your time today, man. And do you have any social media or anywhere that people could follow the build or your other cars as well?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram at JamesB18CJDM, and actually that's about it.
Okay, awesome. Instagram. We'll go ahead and drop his Instagram down in the description, guys. Be sure to go and give him a follow and check out his awesome builds. Thank you so much, man.